What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So we got more information now on Smash's sales in Japan following up its second week. Also saw the debut week of Judgment, all of which we're going to go over here. Didn't have it in yesterday's Newswave because I figured we're doing MPD sales, then we'll go into media crates. I wanted to spread it out a little bit, so we'll go over some of that today. And then we also did see that one suit go to Spider-Man, which a lot of people were hoping for, and Insomniac made that happen. Actually, there's quite a few little holiday updates that companies are putting out for games, including one other one that we're going to go over today as well. As always, guys, if you enjoy these videos, hit the like button. It does help out. We're going to start with that one suit from Spider-Man, as Insomniac put out a tweet saying, well, that one suit along with Sony, they seem to be calling it like the webbed suit, and yes, it is basically the Sam Raimi suit from the original Spider-Man trilogy with Tobey Maguire. It's the one suit a lot of people were hoping to get at some point with DLC, as more and more DLC was coming out with more and more suits, and they didn't see it. So if you missed it online, it seemed to be ramping up more and more with anger, frustration from fans. Insomniac didn't really help with some of their responses, and it kind of built a fever pitch, and then all of a sudden, boom, happy holidays, here's the Sam Raimi suit. But here's the thing about this. This suit was not something they made overnight. It wasn't even something they made in the last week. This is something that takes time to make, so it's an interesting situation where there are a lot of fans who obviously believe that the anger and the frustration and some of the uncalled for tweets made this happen. Not necessarily. I'm sure they were planning on this for a while. It's just, this is when it could come out and it was ready, and of course, the build-up. But either way, really cool to see that suit enter the, what I think is like the best Spider-Man game ever made at this point. Yes, going over even Spider-Man 2 from back in the day. Is it great comparative to what's around it, compared to when Spider-Man 2 came out, what was around it? Well, that's one thing you could probably say that Spider-Man 2 was really good about, is that there weren't the kind of open world games around at the time that Spider-Man 2 was, whereas this Spider-Man, there are a lot of open world games around it. Either way, cool to see that, and I'll be checking it out later on today. We also found out Xbox One games with gold for January already, which is pretty cool. Maybe they put that out because, you know, holidays are coming up, people are going to be out of the office or whatnot. Anyway, check this slide out here, because I think you'll be pleasantly surprised if you're an Xbox user, as look right there on the left, Celeste is going to be part of Games with Gold, and it's going to be available the entirety of January. January 1st to the 31st, it is available. You can download it. I recommend that every single person who has not played this game and has an Xbox with Gold, go download that immediately. It's an outstanding game. There's a reason a lot of places gave it 10 out of 10, 9.5 out of 10. There's a reason it was in the Game of the Year conversation. It's a fantastic platformer, and you'd be missing out if you didn't try it. Also, the soundtrack and the music is really good too. Then you see to the right of that WRC, and then to the right of that Lara Croft, and then to the right of that, Far Cry 2. While I'm less interested in the other three, Celeste is the one to check out. Far Cry 2 was actually a pretty cool game on the 360, if you missed out on that one. I don't know why that Lara Croft game is free. I feel like is it again? I feel like it was free at one point. But either way, Celeste, I think, is the big standout here, and everyone should go download that. I also want to point out one thing that you're going to want to keep an eye out for. Dragon Quest XI-S, at this point, as we know it to be, on the Switch, hasn't had any real information other than that it has an S on the end, and we assume there'll be some extra feature, something, right? Extra content to make up for coming way later. Well, if you tune in tonight, saying tonight my time, if you're in Japan, it's going to be in the afternoon, I guess, it looks like you might be able to find out a bit more, as they are going to have some sort of stage presence at Jump Festa. And there's actually a link down in the sources that will take you to the YouTube live page that they've already set up that's counting down to when they're going to go live. And for me, it's like 9:30 or 10 p.m. tonight or something. So I'll be checking that feed out, hoping for anything. A screenshot, video of it. What is it? Like, is it going to be just Dragon Quest XI from the PS4 that I've already played and beaten? Or is it going to be that with extra features, extra dungeons? There's a lot of endgame I'm still going through. So if they can add on to that as well, I'll stop and just wait for the Switch version and play through that and then get to that endgame. Maybe they can even pull some stuff from the 3DS version that's apparently not getting localized. Maybe a mode in it that has those kind of visual settings. A lot of stuff they could do here, and I'm hoping the extra time in development does pay off for Switch owners who missed out on it, for example, on the PS4. Now, guys, the quick news out of the way. Let's jump into bigger stuff. We're going to start right away with the Media Create sales results, because there's a lot of stuff to unpack here. We're going to start right away. top 10. Here we go. Smash Bros. At the top, as we would assume. That's actually at 406,617. That is a larger drop, 6-7% drop, but it's expected from week 1 to week 2 to have a large drop. Still, though, that puts it over 1.5 million. It's actually at 1.6 million copies just in Japan. God Eater 3 is a debut title on the PS4, 150,523. That's actually kind of a disappointing debut for God Eater 3, to be honest. We just had, God Eater 2 Raging Burst. That was back in 2013. That debuted on the Vita for over 220,000 copies. And it's interesting to see them just releasing on the PS4, as while that's still pretty good for the God Eater team, that's still, I feel like they kind of noticed that there is a bit of a drop-off from not having a handheld version of it anymore, with the Vita not really being relevant anymore. Judgment, that is really cool to see that debut there at 148,246. In fact, Famitsu even had that in the second place. But of course, Judgment, we've talked about that before. That's from the team that did Yakuza with Sega, and they are localizing that next year, coming out west in 2019. So exciting stuff there. Glad to see it debut so well. Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee below that. Super Mario Party at number 5 there. That actually has crossed now over 500,000 units. That's actually pretty impressive for Super Mario Party just in Japan. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Minecraft, Splatoon 2, Super Mario Odyssey, and The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, which actually jumped up 43% to get in that top 10. Moving over to hardware, get ready for this. The Switch was actually flat, which is a good thing because that means it retained its 281,000 unit mark. That does put its year-to-date over 3 million, and that puts its lifetime nearly at 6.4 million, which means it is almost 1 million units behind the PS4's lifetime. But the PS4 turned in a pretty good number at 81,594. The 3DS below that at 20,000 units. The Vita at 2,647. Look at that. Even the Xbox One in Japan saw some help from the holidays, climbing over 1,000 units. Now, looking at this hardware, the Switch, this is one of the Switch's biggest weeks ever. We just talked about last week, of course, being basically flat. But the week coming up, that we're actually, I guess the week we're in now, that's going to be reported next week, is generally the largest sales week of the entire year in Japan, which means more than likely we're going to see a number from the Switch that's in the 300,000s. I don't think it'll touch 400,000. I think it'll be in the 300,000s, and we should expect that. I'm thinking anywhere from 320 to 350,000 Switch units, and then software, older software like evergreens like Zelda and Mario Kart, those will also climb. I would like to see Judgment also not have a large fall off just from the holidays helping out. They released it at a great time, as we just saw there, and we'll see if they can kind of keep that going. And God Eater 3 cannot drop off, because that's already very bad for God Eater just in general with its older titles that they've done and kind of the performance there. I think they looked at that and they realized that Vita really did help them out. Even the PSP, because back God Eater 2 released years and years ago, that actually released as a dual release for the Vita and the PSP, and it did massive numbers there between those two systems. So yeah, kind of a shame to see I guess just the software like that for God Eater, but we'll see if they have anything else planned, as they could do like I guess a re-release of that. And then of course it'll be on Steam and everything. So we'll see what it does when that happens. We also had straight up sales numbers for Smash in its first week, which would be its first 3 days. This was from the Japanese publication Nikkei, and it's a lot. It's 5 million units in its first 3 days. That is a lot. That is an obscene amount. In fact, we can put that in perspective. We had God of War, for example, did 3 million in like its first half a week as well. And then Spider-Man did 3.3 million in its first half a week. But Smash Bros. Did 5 million in 3 days as well. So massive install bases on the PS4, of course, but it really shows just how strong Nintendo's IPs are on the Switch, which makes sense. A lot of people buy a Nintendo platform because they want to play Nintendo games, and Smash is a game that seemingly everyone likes. Like, everyone really likes to play Smash, whether you're good at it or bad at it. Usually you get it to have fun, and it actually has a full single player that's pretty fun to play through. So big things there for Smash. We'll see if we get numbers at the end of December from Nintendo straight up worldwide. I think they're waiting for at least the 10 million mark to announce it, and to be honest, we might hear about a 10 million number in early January, and that would be flat out insane. Next up, let's talk about Resident Evil Remake 2. It's coming out at the end of January, right around Kingdom Hearts 3 time. It's seriously like within the same week. It's going to be insane that time. But but you might be able to get a bit of a taste of the game well before it comes out with a demo that appears to be coming out in like the first half of January. This is actually spotted by True Achievements when they found this listing on Xbox Store, saying, "This specially tuned demo allows you to experience the newly reimagined Resident Evil 2, but be warned, whilst you can continue as many times as you like after dying, you only have 30 minutes to complete the demo. Take in the horror atmosphere at your own pace, or make a desperate dash to solve all puzzles Raccoon Police Department has to offer. The choice is yours. This demo is available until January 31st, 2019. You must be signed in and have an active internet connection to play." True Achievements also believes that it's launching January 11th, and I don't really like time demos like at all. This is 30 minutes, and it's like, I'd rather be able to take your time and just kind of play through it multiple times. Usually there's ways around that, whether it's messing with your system clock or making a new profile and downloading it again, but they even want you to have an active internet connection, so I'm not sure how well that'll go. But I guess a demo is better than nothing, and people are really excited for Resident Evil Remake 2, myself included. I think it's going to be awesome. So I'm looking forward to at least trying out the demo. And of course, we had the Devil May Cry demo. Now we're getting this demo. No Kingdom Hearts demo, though. That would have been a great thing to have out in January as well. But I mean, I guess there's still time. They had a demo that they were kind of showing off at press events. But either way, this Resident Evil demo coming up is going to be awesome. The other thing is, this was spotted on the Xbox Store. I assume it's also going to PlayStation as well. However, we saw what happened with Devil May Cry, where that went to the Xbox, and they touted it as like an Xbox exclusive, the demo. But I mean, it's possible that they could have said, hey, you know, Capcom, let's get that Resident Evil demo, let's just put it on the Xbox. Either way, I'm sure I'll check it out. We'll do impressions and stuff and talk about it on the podcast one weekend. Next up, let's talk about Starlink. It's a game I liked. I thought it was pretty good. It had some repetition issues where you're kind of doing the same thing at times over and over. But for putting in Star Fox, the Star Fox crew, and actually being a pretty fun space arcade shooter, it was a pretty cool game with actually a lot of exploration. Kind of taking No Man's Sky and refining it and kind of focusing it. Then it worked out pretty well. It seemed to do well on the Switch anyway, and people really liked it. And it looks like they're going to be adding some free DLC, just content you can just download, and it just builds on the game itself, which is good because that's something this game does need, is kind of an ongoing update and just content going as we go here. And they put out a full trailer for it, and it does look like it's actually fairly substantial. Now, you're basically going to be going back, and they did put in the one thing that I was really happy to see, which is photo mode. It's kind of been something that's been showing up in a lot of games, but of course, that does help to just show it off on social media and everything, and you can do all kinds of filters, play around with positioning. It's pretty neat to see photo mode, and it's worked out in other games, so yeah, why not throw it in a game like this? They also talked about a whole bunch of new enemy types. You have different fauna and things just on the planets that are kind of obstacles, but you can technically use them to fight against enemies. And then they also have something called outlaw fortifications, which seem to have turrets that they were showing off, and you clear them out and you get loot and experience, which is again pretty neat. The trailer looked cool, and for a free update, I'm always in for that. So I'll be checking it out as well. I kind of fell out of the game after I completed it. I didn't really feel the need to go back and complete all the planets or anything, but either way, free DLC is still free DLC. And our last bit of news, let's talk about a game that was released forever ago, but we all still really like it, and that's the original Doom. And a lot of people would like to be able to play it in more clarity, because if you play it now, it looks more like a pixel art game than anything else. Well, fans have actually been working on that, and it's out now, and you can download it, because what it does is it really smooths everything out and makes it look much more pleasing on your 1080p, 1440p, 4K monitor that would normally stretch those pixels out to be larger than like your fingernail. It wasn't great before, now it's much better. And there's actually a really cool thread you can check out that's linked below that will let you download this and apply it and even tell you how to do it, and a ton of examples. This is called Doom Neural Upscale 2X. It's over on Doom World, the forums that they have, and you can even read how they made this possible, saying, using AI neural networks, a lot of NVIDIA's texture tools, super resolution, and a little bit of Topaz's AI gigapixel, all textures and sprites have been upscaled, so they've now upscaled and they've downscaled them a bit as well, and it kind of gives it the pixel art look, but the textures have been manually cleaned up of AI artifacts, other things, and it's basically made this look way better So they have a ton of comparison shots, and it's not really making it look like, brand new, like a brand new game. It's mostly cleaning up the visuals that were there now, the textures, and just making them look better for your high definition display that would normally, pixelize it. But pretty cool to see this. And again, Doom lives on, as it probably always will. Whenever somebody hacks something, pretty much the first thing they try to put on there is Doom. It's always gonna happen, but cool to see people continue working on it in a way that will make it really live on forever with new gamers or even old gamers who want to be able to play it on their modern displays. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, guys. Really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about today, whether it is the Media Create sales results. Are you surprised to see something like Smash closing in on 2 million already? Are you surprised to hear that it was 5 million copies in just 3 days? That's insane. Those are worldwide numbers, by the way. But we already heard 3 million in the US in 11 days, then we see almost 1.5 million now in Japan. So it's starting to make sense, and maybe that 10 million number isn't too far off. And then what about the new Spider-Man suit from the Sam Raimi Spider-Man series? Let me know about that as well, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great weekend. I'll see you guys back here Monday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time for Newswave.